Hey there, everyone. Thank you for coming back. This is your host, Brandy J. This is Voices of Courage, but also with the new added edition, Behind the Mic. And with me today, I have the great author, gatherer. I'm not going to say the other word because I was trying to pronounce it, so I'll say it later. We got the amazing Chandrika.
Provocateur.
Like, enunciate, Brandy, enunciate. Provocateur and
Provocateur.
lovely provocateur. I'm gonna work on it. I was a teacher too. It's sad. Sad. Don't tell them. But thank you for being here with me, everybody. This is Chandrika DP, and she's an amazing author, provocateur, and gatherer. And she's here to talk to us about her journey, her message, and her amazing book. God,
Lord,
don't let me die, Christian. Lord, don't let me die, Christian. That
Lord,
gets
I
me going.
don't want to die a
Don't be
Christian.
a Christian. I know that gets. I got me. I just said, "Don't die, Christian." I was like, "Oh, I gotta read this." What's she
Well,
saying?
I'm paying attention to, I wonder if the utterance, Lord, don't let me die a Christian, is really expressed as having been awakened or aggravated by my title or agitated because this is not the first time someone has said, Lord, don't let me die Christian. It happens all the time, and that's not what I said. So,
So I'm not alone. Huh? I
right,
meant to get it right, but I still, when I read it, it captured me. It grabbed me.
right. But you aren't the only one that has said, Lord, I don't let me die Christian. It's been put in post. That's not what I said. But I wonder though if it is triggering or agitating that sentiment in other people who have never perhaps had the courage to say it themselves.
That could be it. I
Yeah.
would say yes, just because from my experience, that's another story. But if you're saying it's happening that much, because even though I read it and I saw the title and I still perceived it that way, you might
Yes.
be onto
Right.
something.
Right.
Yeah, most definitely. But
Right.
I mean, what made me? Okay, so we know who we have here, guys. We have the amazing Chandrika DPhea, and we want to know. We gotta ask, how did you get to that title?
The title was definitely inspired. And it was inspired basically out of frustration. And so let me even rewind and say it wasn't a title. It was a prayer. I literally was in the middle of transitioning back to China. I mean, back to the States from China, and was struggling with Western Christian practices. I was. It was challenging to adjust again after being away from it for 2 years. So that was that. Yeah, I was dealing with culture shock as it relates to Christianity and how Black church, a subsidiary, if you will, maybe that's not the right word, but subculture of Christianity. Um, that's an experience in and of itself too, and I was really having a hard time adjusting again. Then, on the other hand, we were just, celebrating having a Black president, while many of our Christian or white evangelical Christian influences were making it known their disdain for having a Black president. And so, between those two realities, I found myself praying, Lord, I don't want to die a Christian. I was watching a pastor, he had invited his grandson to the pulpit to sing a racist song about having a Black president.
Mm-mm-mm.
And I couldn't take it. I turned the TV off. I stood to start cleaning my apartment, and um, I bent over to pick up a pair of shoes. And as I stood, it was my exhale. It was, Lord, I don't want to die a Christian. And my next step in step as I was moving, I said, that's a book. And I said out loud, I wasn't planning on writing a book. And I began to press into prayer and figure out what this book was supposed to be.
Wow. Wow. And that's just that moment when that thought came in your head, all of a sudden, 3 seconds probably before that, you never thought of a book. After that,
Never
every
thought
book.
of, never desired to write a book ever.
Yeah, that was him telling you, yes, you are. You are.
Okay. I mean, it wasn't even, it had never even been a conversation for me to deny. It was never a conversation for me to say, I'm not writing a book. It was never that. It was never something I ever entertained. So it was brand new to me. That's a book. And the funny thing too is that I could hear all kinds of possibilities for everybody else. So I knew it was God when I heard that for me. But I can hear all kinds of ideas for everybody else. Girl, that's a business. Girl, that's a book.
Right.
Man, brother, you know what I mean? So to hear that for myself, and for my experience was definitely a spiritual experience.
Wow. What did you think that prior to that revelation when it came to you in your mind? What did you have set up for yourself, or what did you want to be, or what did you think that you would do if you weren't doing this?
I always only prepared for ministry. That's all I ever prepared for. I have a degree in biblical studies. I by the time I had this, exhale moment, I was licensed as a minister and then ordained as a reverend. Um, I had the 2 years of China under my belt, 2 years of ministry there. I traveled in China doing ministry, not just at the university I was at. Um, so I had lots of ministry experience, and I was preparing to pastor traditionally, and that sentiment changed all. Really, what changed it was my trip to China. Um,
Yes.
but
How'd that?
still,
You want to know how'd that come about? How'd you end up over there? Being a Christian over here, like how'd you end up over there?
okay. Um, I was doing some prison ministry here in my city, and the person who invited me, we went to school together. She actually worked at the school we graduated from with degrees in biblical studies. And so she had invited me to do this prison ministry opportunity. And so after that, after the opportunity, I wanted to kind of sit down with her and go over the things I observed and offer to her that I wanted to go and continue to observe and learn before I did, participated the way she wanted me to. And when that meeting was over, we had the meeting at our school. She was working there. And so I met her there, kind of enjoyed lunch, I think, and we had that conversation. When that was over, we were on a patio that was down below. And so in order to get to the parking lot up top, we had to go upstairs. And so we go upstairs and I'm headed out of the door. Like literally, there are these sets of double doors that, once you step in front of that sensor, the door opens. And right before that door opened, our old professor walked by. His name is Dr. Durden. And he asked me, what was I doing with myself? And in an effort to impress him, I was dishonest and offered to him, amongst other things, that China was on the table. I said I was in full-time ministry but so I was in full-time ministry at the time, but I was in full-time ministry for free. And in the evangelical world or Baptist, or if I could say Southern Baptist world, when you say you're in full-time ministry, they think you're on staff somewhere. So I was trying to impress him. And I said, I'm in full-time ministry. I didn't say for free. So when I said that, he didn't just, he did just like, oh, okay. What are you doing? So I started listening to him. He was like, okay, well, what else? I said, I'm doing some prison ministry with Sandra. He's like, okay, what else? Like he just kept digging. And so I said, well, China's on the table. He said, really? I said, yeah. Not true. Uh, he said, my son is in China. What? What? He said, my son is in China. He's teaching in China. And so, yeah, if you're going to do it, you need to go with an organization that of which someone has participated in, and you can trust it. So I, said yes, sir. We ended up going to his office, and I ended up on the phone with the organization that sent his son to China. Um,
How'd
the
that go?
reason, the reason it came up is because I was volunteering for an organization who had provided housing for me as long as I did missions work for them in the neighborhood. And they mentioned China to me. And I was like, are you crazy? I'm not going to China. I don't have a passport. I had never been out of the country. It just was no. But that conversation came up again when my professor asked me, what is full time ministry for you? And that question led me to being on the phone with the organization, who then made an appointment for me to have an official interview. They hired me the day of the interview, and um, I think that day, I think that was maybe a Thursday or Friday that I had the interview. The following Friday, I had to be on a plane to San Diego, one-way plane ticket with no money. Because remember, I was doing ministry full time, no money and no passport, on a one-way plane ticket to San Diego to train for 2 weeks. Then from there to go to China.
Oof.
So in less and basically in less than a week, I was gone.
So stuff just happens for you. Like you receive a message, all right? You know, what I mean? You're like you're going to
Right.
China, no passport. You're going to San Diego. You're like, and then there you are. Here you are. You got when he knows when he that faith. You just gotta do it. He knows.
Right.
But let me ask you a question now, because you was giving the answers when you went to China. I know you were thinking in your head like, what I told this man. And when it ends up you falling through with it and it works out for you, did you think that was God's message? Was it like a joke for him, or or you knew you had to? Did you have to fix something there because it still worked out for you? But God knows your heart, and He knew what you was doing. So I know that had to play a part. But did that ever have to resurface back up again? When
What? Which
you
part?
had, for when you brought up, you told him you had the China on the table, and then
Right.
to find out that it really did work out for you, because
Right.
like I
Well,
know you felt like I just told not you not even I lied, I just told something, and
right,
then
right.
it works out beautifully for you.
I
So
mean,
like that
it,
part,
it, it didn't resurface. It just, the maybe for me, it was dishonest in the sense that it was never something I intended to do.
mm,
But, it could be, now that I think about it, it could be that there's so much power in my existence that even in being dishonest, I
yeah.
speak something into
But
existence.
I was thinking, yeah, I was like, oh, you do, huh? I'm gonna send you on like you
You
like.
know?
Oh man, you got I love that's man, that's
Right.
a good story. He does have a sense of humor, doesn't he?
It's so funny. I literally went to his office and he had a couch in there, and I sat on the floor on the phone with the couch at my back, and I had a conversation with these folks, and we made an appointment for an official
Wow.
interview, and I was gone the next week.
Wow. Were you scared at all? I'm pretty sure you were, but like what was the feelings of when you finally like accepted, like and said yes, okay, I'll go. Like what was running through your mind? Did you have like a feeling in your stomach? Were you excited? Like what was going on?
I don't remember having time to be scared or excited. I remember being anxious about culture shock
Yeah.
because they in training they spent hours on trying to do their best to prepare us for that. And so I was anxious about that, just the things that they were saying, like, you may feel isolated, you may get depressed, and you may feel, these emotions. And so we're here for you, and you can go and pull, just giving us resources and things like that. I didn't experience non culture shock, none.
Wow.
And
Can you tell
again,
the listeners about that? Because
having never been in the country.
that's crazy. Because it sounds like you felt more of a culture shock when you got back from China here than going to China.
I mean, money hit the head, hit the nail on the head. Absolutely. I
Wow.
had more of a culture shock coming back than I did going.
Wow. That is crazy. What do you think that was? So that's gotta be something, right? Like, do you think it was coming from here? Okay, from what you experienced and what knowledge you're carrying and what your gift is, you're able to look past all the things that usually would blind somebody, the ignorance. You're open to stuff, and you're just, you know what I mean. And you're like, okay, here I am. And then what was it that you could say right now that was completely different for you going over there than somebody just coming over to US? Like what did you notice why it would be like that they did
I
have there?
I can't speak for everybody else. For me, what kept me, I think, from experiencing culture shock was a very strong sense of curiosity. And I'm able to articulate that today, but I didn't know that then. I was just in a place that was new, and it was so much to learn and see. I didn't have time to be culture shocked. It was too much to explore.
Wow, that's
And
amazing.
that's my only answer. I know for sure today, I know for sure I have always had a strong sense of curiosity, but it hasn't always, I've not always been allowed to express it.
Right.
That's what the book is about. It's about choosing to be curious versus Christian, because I don't feel like I can do both.
Mm, mm.
And so, you know, but I'm coming into this awareness, um, really a lot, pretty much after China. Because once I came back and experienced culture shock, one of the reasons I experienced culture shock is because I came back to try to go back to my life as I knew it, church, ministry,
Nothing
and
the same. Wasn't the
and it
same, huh?
wasn't working. That
Wow.
was the culture shock. It was, what is this? They're talking about the devil. Oh my gosh, I haven't heard the devil in 2 years. What
Wow.
is this? Like the tithe envelopes, I could hear them. They had a sound. I hadn't seen or heard a tithe envelope
Mm.
in 2 years. So many part communion. I hadn't first Sunday didn't exist in China. So it was like,
What is this?
what is this? It's just like I lived 2 years, not only uh with uh with these things not being present, with these traditions not being present in my life, but not even remembering or recalling them as a part of my life. That
Mm.
was the real culture shock, that I didn't realize or I didn't miss
You're like,
first
oh my
Sunday.
God, what's communion? Where we do this? We're like, what's we don't do
I
that here?
never,
Like, we were tripping, huh?
I didn't even miss it.
Dang.
I didn't
That's
miss
a
it.
lot.
So
That's a
when I was experiencing it again, I was like, why wasn't nobody knocking on the door saying it's first Sunday?
lot.
Communion didn't exist there. You know what I mean? And so I had to finally it made me start asking questions of these traditions, and if I'm not doing them over there, does it matter over here? And I was really, honey, it was a lot of processing.
That's amazing, though. I'm like, it's kind of like, you kind of feel like learning, like, you know how kind of Jesus puts it, like you got to start again, be born again. You felt like a kid all over again. Like, wait a minute, there's more to it, because the way you explained it, the way I was thinking it, just from reading some of your book, and then how you just sat here and explained it, made me have questions. And when I was reading, and I got to the last part before you said, find out, I was
Mhm.
like, I was going to ask you, do you feel like, because you just said religion, you feel like you could do both. This is blowing my mind. Do you
Right.
think that religion could possibly? Because I don't do the religion thing. You know what I mean? I believe in the Lord. I mean, I think religion is kind of like made to control of it. That's my experience. But do you think that religion can hold somebody back? Because you said you couldn't do both. It doesn't allow you to be curious, because this is what it is, right? And you
Right.
can,
Right.
and those sayings that shut us down. Curiosity killed the cat. There's all these things to make you not question things. You know what I
That's good.
mean?
Yeah.
Programs. And that's what I
Yeah.
got when we wrote that. I said, it sounds like religion kind of keeps us stuck. We don't wonder anymore because this is what it's
Right.
for.
We don't, not just not that we don't wonder anymore, or not only that, but that we don't have wonder. We don't have a awe and a wonder about, the things
Yeah.
that we can't touch and the things that we can't see. We don't have it. If it's only one way, if life is only one way, what are we curious about? What questions do we have? But I write in the book, I write that. I write that there are going to be people who see the title of the book and think that Christianity hurt me. It didn't hurt me, it held me back. you
Right.
know? And
Yeah. I
so,
didn't think it hurt you. I think you found, I knew you found something, because I had a
yeah,
story similar. I said, oh, I got to hear
but
this.
I didn't know it held me back until after I left.
Mm.
Went to China, and still again doing ministry there because it's all I knew to do. But while I was doing it, being there and not being able to do Christianity, to do all the things that Christianity does, to wear the crucifix, to wear the clothes, to park in the parking spot, to wear the collar, to wear the shirts, to, to carry the Bible, to claim church membership.
But not to live. Would
I
you say
couldn't do
that?
all that in order to be there.
Right.
So it was attracting the wrong kind of attention. So I had to figure out how to be what I believed without doing all I did.
Mm.
And that led me to then start asking questions of what I believed in the first place and
Man.
why.
This is some real. This right here for many, listeners. It might not mean, and maybe you'll get to that place someday. But this is some heavy stuff, but not heavy in a bad way. It's just
Yeah.
an eye opener, especially
Yes.
if you're already starting to have, you know what I mean, and you were just there and you just needed that one person to be like, right. And as I'm listening
Yeah.
to you, it's like how you described it, the park spot. We know that stuff, right? It's like, yeah, and then it's like when you stop or you know what I mean, like the wonder, you're not wandering, you're just doing all these things. Like, what is it about it? And do you think, and maybe probably gonna say, yeah, when you wrap God up in it, Jesus up in it, because that's what it's all about. Then that's just gonna be your end result. You're just gonna be like, well, obviously this is why. You don't get past it to go try to figure out the why because you're doing this for these reasons. Versus like when you think about it, why would we stop wondering? God, He created this big. My logic says He created this wonderful this world. For what? Just so it can be around, and He can only just tell. We just read this right here, and this is what it is. When I read the Bible, I don't even just. I see much more than what I'm even looking at or whatever you're showing me to read. Because I've seen some other stuff you didn't go over, but we'll talk about that later. And I'm just like, no way. There's no way we're supposed to. And I don't know about you, Chandrika, but I feel like that was put in place so we wouldn't wander anymore. I think He wanted us to know. How are we gonna fully understand? You going to China? That's inspiring because nobody's gonna think just like, well, China. You know what I mean? And then how do we look at China over here? They make us look at China like we should be scared or don't go over there. They bring China over here. You like the fourth Black African American person that's told. I'm not gonna say African American. I'm not gonna turn into that show. I'm not gonna be nerd today, but I'm just saying. But you know what I'm saying, right? Like
Mhm.
we go over there. Every time I heard a Black person go over there, they never said Shanghai, no matter where, that it was a bad experience. It might have been like a culture. They probably was looking a certain way, but that's a different place, and you kind of gotta just be respectful and understand their culture. But it never was something that was as harmful like it's painted to people. And I'm thinking like, would you say that that's what's missing when it comes to like people in the world today? Like, because obviously it's more than color. We're human beings, right? And we're all, you know what I mean, His children. Would you say that? And that this here is just a illusion?
Well, I don't. I can't speak to that. What I can speak to is my own experience, and there was something. Well, I'll tell you. At the time the opportunity was offered to me, I had broken off my engagement with the first and only man I'd ever been in love with. And I was just, that was enough. That heartbreak was enough to be open to the idea of leaving. It was my way of cutting off all my hair. A lot of times when women, we break up with the love of our lives, we do something drastic, get a
Thing,
tattoo,
right?
hair, get a new piercing or something. And so going to China was my cutting my hair. It was I was open enough to go. Um, I never thought about what I had been shown or told about it. Um, I was open and I went, and I have absolutely no regrets. It is what I would refer to my Damascus Road. Um, and I'm never going back.
Now, should I be asking you why? Wait, you just hit me with something.
What did I?
When you say that, like you just like because I think I heard what I heard. You just told me that you like the amazing, like how amazing it was, and you. I'm just making sure I got this right. You said you're never going back. Did you mean like go back or like go
Oh,
back to that place in your life? Like, or you
yeah,
mean like
go back to that place in my life. Yeah,
okay?
I would go back to China. Girl, China, listen, Shanghai and Zhou, they got the best. What we in China, it's jiaozi, but it's dumplings here,
Mm.
and I don't even like eating them here because
You
it's just
realize different, huh?
like
Oh,
nothing like them in China. It's nothing like them. So something like pot stickers. Um, but yeah, I won't go back to the Chandrika I was before I left.
how's that? How's that now for you, Chandrika? Can you let us know? What has it changed even now? So how you used to be go to church and the I guess what the tradition, the ritual. Do you still go? Have you switched it up? Are you not holding on to it too tight? Don't.
I'm not I'm not a member anywhere. I'm not assigned to anybody's pastoral staff.
So
None of that. I'm free.
I was
And
gonna ask you
and
that.
I still carry I still carry the ordination card uh on my person, in my wallet, and it's on the book. You know, my degree that I got, it's not going to change. I received that degree. Same goes with my ministry license. It's not going to change. I received it. You know, I don't go by reverend, but it works for putting it on this book. But if you talk to me, my name is Chandrika. I don't need to be called reverend. I don't have to be called minister. My mama didn't name me that. My name is Chandrika. And um yeah, I'm good. Just like I don't seek church membership. I would love to one day establish a fellowship that doesn't require membership.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I'm I've been one of the things I came to enjoy is if I wasn't going to be a Christian, if I wasn't going to that, and that means so much. It means not it means taking the opportunity to think apart from the majority. So if I'm sitting in a Bible study and I just had this conversation with my father, he's asking me to help him with a scripture, and I'm telling him, no, you don't want me to help you with this, because what I was reading was uh, a mental health issue. There's somebody who's saying that they don't want to live, that they think it's better to live or to be with Jesus, and Jesus is obviously going on. And this is in the Bible. This is Paul talking. And he's saying he doesn't know what to choose. He doesn't know whether he wants to live or leave the body. He doesn't know. And if we go to a therapist and say that,
You're gonna treat like crazy.
you're going to get medication, we send you to a psychiatric hospital, that's suicidal conversation.
Yeah, that happened to my friend. She was telling everybody Jesus loves you. He has something for you in store for you, and they put her in the took her to the hospital. And she was just trying to spread some love. It's like, yeah, he was wrong.
And this is more of clear saying that I don't know if I want to live or die. This is not Paul saying Jesus loves you. He's saying, I don't know if I want to live or die. I think it's better to go and live with Christ. And he's saying, I don't know which to choose. And
Hmm.
so, the majority of us would be I'm reading this to my pastoring father, who wants to preach a sentence in that part of the letter. And when I read the sentence in context, he still wants to preach the sentence.
Mm.
Paul is saying, he's saying that I'm struggling. I don't know if I want to live or die. And if
Mm.
and if he decides to die, if he decides that he doesn't want to live, he's saying that he is making the choice to not die or making the choice to, which means how you gonna take your life? You gonna take your life? So this, this is suicidal conversation. And so, if we were going over that in a congregation, everybody be like, yes, yes,
Right.
amen. That's it. So, to sit to for me to actually look and read and think and dissect and dive or take it for what it actually says, for me, that takes not being a Christian. Because to be a Christian is to be a part of the majority, in my opinion.
Yeah.
To be a Christian is to not think, it's not to use your intellect. And I'm not saying this in general. There's a lot of intellectual Christians, a lot of intellectual leaders. But either we skip around what is not popular or what the people are not gonna appreciate, even though we see what we see, um, or we just, or we're not thinking at all. And I don't want to do that anymore. I want to read what I'm reading. I want to hear a song and have thoughts about it and how it may be hindering my
Right.
experience of life,
Instead of being like, don't listen to that, don't listen to that, you kind of it make you feel
or
bad
not.
for receiving it.
Right.
It's like,
Or
let
not,
me make the decision.
right. Or
Free
don't
will.
sing it. So
Right.
I was a worship leader. I can't go back to being a worship leader having questions about certain songs,
Right. Right.
you
Right.
know?
Wouldn't that kind of like go against free will though a little bit? Isn't that the complete full truth of free will? Is to being able to be exposed to it, know what you're listening to, and then you make that decision. But we don't really get the full, aspect of all of it. You didn't get to hear it because you're just bad. You don't listen to that. So how is you really making? How is it free will if you really didn't get to truly make that choice because you're going off of somebody else's right?
Idea. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe a very popular song by young lady. Her name is Tasha Cobb. She's a great singer. She has a song called I don't know what it's called. Breaking Chains or something like that. And
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
this everybody just sing it. I feel the chains
Um,
falling. And it just everybody just is singing it. And in order to believe that, you have to believe that you're in bondage in the first place. Why do I want to believe that?
right.
And so I'm somewhere sitting like, oh, okay, when they but at least I get to sit and not participate versus being on the stage having to sing these songs because everybody else likes it. So that's what I mean by I'm not a church member. I can't do these things and participate fully.
Yeah.
I can't do it. One of my friends is being ordained Sunday. I'm gonna try to go. There gonna be certain songs I'm gonna be down there waiting for them to sing that works for me. But if I was on the praise team, I don't have that choice.
Mm. So you got to be up to doing something that you're not even, you know. That's good. Nobody should have to live that way, at all whatsoever, right or wrong. It's like you should live your truth, or
Well,
be about what you
the thing
believe.
the thing is, and I think what I'm saying without saying it, and I'm not I'm not avoiding saying it. What I'm saying without saying it is that anyone who's doing it is probably not thinking.
Yeah,
They're not involving their intellect. I
because you'd have
remember
to ask questions.
I used right. I used to be that I was a worship leader, so my intellect was never involved.
Because if people were really paying attention, wouldn't you think that they'd be like this instead? They'd be like, "Wait a minute, let's think about
Right,
this.
right,
What did you
right,
say?
right.
Chains. It's like that exactly, and that's how it gets. It seems like that's just the thing. Like, and I have this guy I listen to. His name's Papa Duck. You know what I mean? He used to be in the rap and all that stuff, and very smart. I feel like he's like me, but in a male's body or my twin. I don't even know. But I just be like, yo, I know I'm not crazy. And he was talking about the music and the spells and all that stuff, and he'd be like, he used to rap like all this stuff, and then till he realized what he was rapping. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You rapping about death. You rapping about killing one
Mhm.
another, and then he realized how it correlated, how the devil played a part, and it was, we were taking our own. We were actually doing ourselves in, and right, and then it made me think. He said, "Church is your what do you say? The government, politics is your mother, and I think religion is your father." Something like that. He puts together, and it definitely don't. It seemed like correlates with religion, and they hide. They put it together. I think that's how they manipulate people because you got the ones not the thinkers. They just be like, you know what I mean? So as soon as you throw that up in there, they be like, I'm sold. Like this is, you know. And I'm like, no, because that's control. And anywhere to control, God wasn't trying to control. He gave us free will. You know what I mean? And when people say, oh, you got free will, free choice, yeah, he didn't say you was going to be free of the consequences, though. You know what I mean? But at least he allowed you to go see why
Mhm.
you make the choice you made, or why I told this is why I did what I did. You know?
Yeah.
And but it's like I don't know. I feel you with. That's why when I saw that title, I said I didn't think like anything bad happened to you or you were angry or something. I said she has a story too, you know, because I had a whole story going through church my whole life, and the whole time I never felt a part of. I didn't. I said something there, right? Every time I look at the elder or somebody like that, I saw something different. It's like something was talking to me. Like I'm acting normal. I'm not telling anybody I'm hearing or feeling these way. I'm just like, who are you really? It was just something that was coming off, exuberant off these people, and I wouldn't trip out a little bit, but I'd be like, yeah,
That
and
and
I
I love
take
I
it
love
down.
that.
I never connected,
I
never.
love the question about who are you really. One of the other reasons I don't want to be a member is because the crucifix on the door or on the
Mm,
front of the building, it creates an expectation. And so when you cross the threshold of the building that has this announcement on it that I'm a Christian, then for me, I don't get to know your authentic self.
hmm,
I don't. So who are you really? Because once you
mm,
cross that threshold, you're expected to be what that threshold represents. I
right.
better talk. I know I'm talking good.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Anytime anybody asks me, and from a little girl up until now, and I could just sit there and be like, I'm a Christian because I was programmed, right? I was told I was. Every time somebody asked me, I was baptized like 3 times, and every time I'm not Christian, I was like, I really don't know what that is. To be honest with you, I was like, 'cause I don't really think I'm practicing Christian ways. And to be honest with you, I don't even know what a Christian is to be. So I can't really say can't say I'm something that I don't know. But it was some saying. I could never, and ever out my mouth, even as a kid to an adult, say I'm a Christian. I always stop and be like, I love the Lord. I do. I love God. But I just don't think
Mhm.
I'm a Christian. I'm not gonna sit
Mhm.
here and say it. I wasn't gonna sit there and say something that I didn't even understand.
Yeah,
You
right,
know what I
right,
mean?
right.
Just couldn't do that. And nobody ever explained it to me. Ever explained it to me to this day. God was working on me from a kid up until now. I had to figure that out myself until it came to me after exposing other people. He puts people in your life certain times to talk to you about things and stuff. And I think it really happened when I was introduced to some sane Israelites. And I was just listening because I talked to Muslims. My son's father was a Muslim. Just like, oh, that's great, it's great, Lord. And then I talked to them and what they did for me, because then I went from one place to being a 7-day Adventist. That opened a different door because at least you opened the Bible. Like they didn't do that. He was hooting and hollering. Okay, so now I know that I need to read the Bible more. I shouldn't just go off of your words. That's what
Mhm.
that opened to me. Then I
Mhm.
get over. I'm like, something's still not right. And that's when it revealed more to me. Like, who are you? I just felt something wasn't right. And then I meet some Israelites, and then they actually read it with me, and they go over it, and they're asking me questions, and they're just waiting for me to receive it. And then it hits me more. But even more that it hits me is that okay? So that Christianity thing was a thing. I wasn't a Christian, and a lot of stuff wasn't true. And so now where I am at now is I kind of feel like where you said like the curiosity. I'm just like, hmm, there's more, and
There's
it's
more.
okay to wonder.
You know, I you I said this. I've said this several times lately. Every religious practice, from Christianity. Then this is my belief: Christianity to Muslims to Hebrew Israelites to the Baptists to the Scientologists to all of them, Jewish, everybody. It's all a reflection of our questions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we say we're building these religions on our answers to the questions. But if you didn't have the question, you wouldn't have an answer to build a religion on. So where am I going? I don't want to die a Christian. I'm not going to be a Muslim. They got questions too. I'm not going to be a Hebrew Israelite. They got questions too. We all of us do. You know, you ask a question and come to a resolve, and then you build a religion on your resolve, not ever exposing that you had questions and probably still do.
They're always going to arise, right? Because we're never going to know the full scope of stuff, and you're going to be like, wait,
so where am I going? I'm going to somebody else who don't know the full scope. It's this somebody else who don't know, and it's another organization who don't know.
Nobody wants to admit that they don't know. They don't have that humility. Like, we don't really know. So, because everybody's trying to say they're right. It's our religion. Because my auntie, she's a Jehovah's Witness. She's like, no, this is how it's supposed to. I'm like, do we really know though? Because we weren't there. So we gotta like leave that window open that there's a good chance that we don't even know what we're talking about.
Right. You know, the whole premise or the whole idea of Adam and Eve and how their family ended up, and the premise of the tree and Eve eating of it and sin and all of that was written by someone who wasn't there. And let me go further back. The world being created and how it was created, how man came to be, was written by, and I'm gonna say it's different. Let me add to it. In the most popular version of the Bible sold, Moses writes about the story of Adam and Eve, and Moses was not even born. Let alone
they just didn't know, or they did it on purpose? He was gonna pay attention. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Again, it's very important to include. This story is in a book, the most popular book or popular version of the Bible. I don't know about all the rest of them, but the most popular version of the Bible. That means the most Bible, the Bible that is sold the most is the King James version of the Bible, which, by the way, the rights belong to the royal family. And now I'm gonna say this too. This book right here, the rights belong to me and my publisher. So every time somebody buy it, we get paid. Okay, that's all.
And it always comes back down to that side of the Roman cat. Yeah.
And not just we. The people who print it, they get paid. The distributor, they get paid. All these people, they get paid.
Always goes back to that dollar bill. Yeah.
Hey,
sell it like hotcakes. Give me some.
So, in the most popular version of the Bible sold is the book called Genesis. And that book is attributed to a guy whose name is Moses, who was not born when Adam and Eve lived, if they lived at all.
I love it. You just took me to a whole nother realm. I promise you. I hadn't gotten to this place yet, and you just took me there. I've been through the phases. I think this might be the complete, like the flood, like the gate opener, like whoosh, all the water just came out. I'm like, oh, stuff. It feels freeing though. I'm being honest. I don't know if you felt that during this whole experience that you had, but the experience I've had from being a child up until this new discovery where I found out that's why I was feeling the way I did, these different churches, and then sitting here now with you. Do you feel like a breath of fresh air? Do you feel like you were set free from something because you were being held by something that you didn't even fully get? Because you just made sense to me right now. Everything that you said about how Christianity, and when you came back, was making you feel like you couldn't, you know what I mean? Like you knew there was more. I'm building
I
another
have
one.
to agree, you know?
Yeah, that's what they're all doing. Like, so if you say like, okay, no, this was the way, this is how God meant it. Like, I'm an Israelite or I'm a Moses, right? It's still, no matter what, it's still going to limit you. Still have to conform to a belief because it
Yeah.
has believes certain things. It's not something that you can be just free to just experience and let's see what happens. But in the best
Yeah,
regard,
it's
leading
that.
good people. You got to
It's
believe this.
that.
You don't do this. You got to wear this. You got to wear that.
No, no,
Tells
I'm
me
not
I
doing
don't get
that.
it.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah, that's the
It's
part that makes me feel suffocated.
right. It's you know, my belief is that God is bigger than what any religion has to offer.
Yeah.
And so, you know, my experience of religion is Christianity. And I believe God is bigger than what Christianity has to offer.
Yeah.
And y'all not finna put me in you know, the bondage of your interpretation of the Bible and life. The people we are reading of, that when the Hebrew Israelites sat down with you, they are reading and studying the experiences of someone else. But those people's experience they were having those experiences without a book.
Yeah.
The
I tell
Bible did not exist when they were living. So they were having to experience life and interpret that experience.
Ooh, that is deep.
And articulate
Ooh.
what they interpreted.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Girl, you don't knock it off. See, so basically, what you just said here right now is because it makes a lot of sense. I had thought about this like prior when we were talking. I was looking at myself reading the Bible, and you said that's how he meant it. That's how he's supposed to do this and that. And you these people wasn't looking at a book like prior to them. This is how they did it. That was really going on. Like what we're living now is really going on. But we're trying to take a book or something. Well, and we're like, well, how am I supposed to? This is, you know what I mean? And you're supposed to apply that what we're
It's
living now may be a book that, in that sense,
right,
like we got
right.
to deal with what we
It
deal
could
with.
be a book. It
Right.
could be a book.
Yeah.
But but
Mm,
again, the point is that they had the freedom
mm-hmm,
to interpret the experience of life they were having. So
mm.
let's say it this way.
But you said they would understand it more because they was living in it.
Well, no, what I'm saying is that without a book to give them guidance, they had to figure it out.
Mm. That makes a whole
They
lot.
had the freedom even to assign God to certain experiences. There was no book to tell them what they were experiencing was God or
Mm.
not.
Right.
They lived free of somebody else's experience. You know, Moses says, or Noah even says that, and the story is, because I don't know, I wasn't there. The story is that Noah said, you know, God told him to build a boat. Now, you know, it didn't have to be God. He could have been as loony as the day is long. He had the freedom, or took the freedom, to assign divinity to a conversation which is internal, to a conversation that he had about the rain and how it was going to quote unquote flood the earth. There was no book. There was no book to say, if the earth floods, this is what you're supposed to do.
Right.
He's having a conversation. It's not audible. We should know that it's not audible, because everybody who says they hear God, it's, you didn't hear me hear God, and you didn't hear what God said to me.
Exactly. Mm, mm,
So,
mm.
Moses and Abraham, all these folks, they're having experiences of God. They're having internal conversations, whether it be with themselves or they believe with something outside of themselves. And they are having to interpret that. They are having to say, this is divine. They are having to say, this is not divine. They are taking it upon themselves. You know, David Koresh, he, and I say this all the time, you know, David Koresh is a guy, I don't know if you remember him, but he had a house that there's a name for it. a combine in Texas, where he gathered a bunch of men and women and children. And after a while, it seemed to be getting dangerous. But he wouldn't release anybody. Nobody wanted. A lot of people didn't want to be released. It seemed to be getting cultish. He seemed to be perhaps, having unhealthy relationships with girls, little girls, and things like that. And so, but he said, God said,
Hmm.
the world, the idea of it is big enough for people to take the liberty and the freedom to assign divinity to whatever they want.
Hmm. True, that true, very true.
Now, don't get me
But my
wrong.
kids off the cliff. Was talking to me. So yeah,
So, what's the difference between David Koresh and some of the people in the Bible who said God told them to go and take the land, kill all the mothers and their kids and the fathers, just kill out the whole family and possess the land?
mm,
God said do that. And so, what's the difference?
there's none.
None.
There's none. There's
It's-
none.
and so we have, you know, the responsibility or the freedom to assign divinity to whatever we want. I am choosing to see God as love.
Right.
And because I
That's
choose
the
to see
difference. That's the
God as
difference.
love,
Yeah.
then I experience love as a part of my life existence. So, there's layers to this. You can,
Mm-hmm.
if you can choose to believe there's a God or not. But if you choose to believe there's a God, then you have to then assign what you believe about God to you choosing to believe there is one.
Right.
Because if
Yeah.
you believe there's a God who hates or who's angry, then you will experience
Right.
that as a part of your life.
So that explains, like, okay, say for instance, when I say, like, say, you get like angry racist white people, and you get, the opposite, and you're like, okay, well, I know who my God is, and you say you have a God, but clearly that's not God, because God loves, He don't hate. But they have chosen that their God that they love, they believe in, has told them that's what they've chosen to believe what God is. Basically, what
Hmm.
you explain, versus me saying that no, that's the devil. No, that's truly their truth, what they believe, and that's where that you're like, no, you're lying. Like, your Bible's upside down, and it really is what you just explained right there. And that, I want to say, damn it, and that just hits that word curiosity, because it's as deeper as you go into the rabbit hole, it leaves that curiosity, because then it's like, wait, what? We're trying to get to a definitive answer and figure it all out. Like, this is how it is. We're never gonna get there, because, like you said, it's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. And I have, when you was talking to me before I talked to you today, and that's why I know this was supposed to happen. I started thinking. I said, hmm. Now, God, he supposedly, like, he needed his messengers to get a message to everybody to know who he was, and this, and that everybody come to a place of love and get to know him before he gets back. My logic started to kick in. Well, he's smart, so he would know that a lot of people aren't going to get the message because people ain't down here doing their job right. People can't explain stuff. And then I start thinking, would he expect people to understand? He couldn't really expect people to receive. How are people supposed to believe that message just by somebody telling you that? That really
Hmm.
started playing in my head, like that was supposed to be the way for us to understand. And then I started thinking about the pastors and all the people in the church that be like, well, if you do this, you're gonna do this, blah blah, this and that. You need to do this, you need to do that. I'm like, how do you expect that to be? You can't expect people to believe there's a Jesus or God just off the strength that you telling them that. And that's been playing, and like God wouldn't, because then that means a lot of people are going to perish just off of a message. I don't think he would expect us to believe that stuff just because somebody told us that, because who's it coming from? And that's what really started kicking it off, like this is something. Oh, I was like, that don't even make sense. And you bad at it too, but that just doesn't make sense, because you can't expect nobody to believe you. Why should I believe you, elder, pastor, because you're telling me this? Like, that is no way. to teach somebody or expect them, and then turn around and tell them they're going to be a sinner, or they're going to hell because you told them that that's what he expects. Well, can you give me some more than that? Like, can I understand? And then look
Right.
at the people like you better get to know them, get to know who, why, and how. And that's why I stopped going to church because every time they see me, oh, I didn't see you last week, but you didn't call me either. You know what I mean? Like every time I come in
Oh,
here, you keep saying come back for what? You don't know what I'm doing at home. I could be going to another church, but I got to come to this one, huh? This one right here.
right.
Like you don't know what I'm doing, but you didn't work. You didn't think about me until I walked up in here. You want to know where I was? Why did I need to be here?
Hmm.
You didn't ask me what I've been doing or nothing, just because they didn't see me up in there. And I couldn't do it no more. I was like, I can't do this. I can't be around fake people. I know you find a few genuine ones and look like they're confused too. You know, they be so nice. They be like, down my life. You know, but I can read it. I read people well. I said, I'm not doing this no more because I'm going to have to get up and tell you what I think. And I don't have to do that. So I'll tell you and say, Lord, you know me.
Right.
You know what I mean? You
Right.
know what I'm about to do. And I couldn't do it no more, Chandrika. I took my baby up out of there and I said, nah. I saw it. I saw those kids go to the same school that the church was around. And they were some snobby little kids. Parents got them thinking they better than. I said, you're not going to that school. Because I said, you're going to go to a school and you're going to, because it's like they looked at other kids like if they all going to school together, then you're not really spreading like if you're going to a school that's correlated to the church, you're only going to deal with those people, and you are looking at other kids like they're less than. And I said, if anything, you're going to go be around other kids and you're going to spread that love and joy to everybody. Because I don't think if you could put in Jesus and God in the mix, that your kid is over there treating people like they less than. Because that's what I took from that, and it just turned me off altogether.
Hmm. Yeah. It's 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 just the world. What I wanted to offer earlier is that whatever you choose to believe in, you are also choosing the sequence of events that follow said decision to believe. So just as much as there is enough room in the world, and in the idea of a world for everyone to assign divinity to whatever they want to, there's also enough room in the world to experience or walk out the consequence of assigning to divinity to whatever you want. There's enough room. So you got to weigh and be able to discern what would be the consequences.
Yeah.
And by that I mean consequence of events that follow the decision uh, to invest the energy of believing in divinity the way I do. So, but there's enough room, and believing that, releases me also as
Mhm.
another level or layer of freedom. It releases me from judging everybody
Amen.
because God doesn't have to be love. God don't have to be hate. It's what I choose to believe about of something divine. I choose to believe that something divine, something that I come from, the divinity I was made of, is love. And as a result of that, the sequence or consequences of events following that choice will be reflective even of what I believe about love. The question may be, what is more powerful, believing or God?
Mm.
Because
Amen
my
for that.
because my experience of God is only going to be a reflection of what I believe about. Woo! I mean, when I tell you the things that are coming out of my mouth tonight is blessing me. I ain't even know.
Hmm.
because God can be hate,
Yeah.
but I believe God is love. I will experience love. It doesn't matter what,
Yeah.
it's according to your faith. What do you believe? My sister the other day, and I told her I was gonna end up having to preach this, but we were playing Jenga, and it seemed I was missing a piece, and I'm annoyed by that. I don't lose anything. Rarely do I lose something. And so I was saying to mom, I said, it's probably under my couch somewhere. And so we were getting ready to put them up, and there's this cardboard piece that comes with the Jenga game that helps you to stack everything, all the pieces neatly. You just take that cardboard, sit all the pieces in it, and you stack it together, you pick it up, and then you sit it in the box. Well, what we discovered is that the cardboard is even with most of the pieces.
Mm-hmm.
So but the two pieces, you know,
Well,
what am I doing with those? And so my sister said, well, it really could be that these are two extra pieces versus you're missing. See, there's a difference in perspective. I thought I was missing a piece. We can actually look at it different and say you actually have two extra pieces.
mm, mm.
So
Ooh,
so if you miss one, if you lose one, you can use this one and it'll still be even with the cardboard. My point is it'll be what you'll experience according to your perspective or according to what you believe.
yeah. So that's kind of like when people say, would you say like kind of speak of like manifestation or, cause I kind of get that too, because I truly believe that too. Like I have control over no matter what they're out here doing, trying to, orchestrate stuff. I feel like I can create my world. I don't have to buy into this, and my energy, because we're energy, can override all that, and I truly believe that because that's been with me since I've been a kid. And I think that's why the attack is so strong, because they already know when you get in here and you can get that, then you got it. You start believing that. And then I catch myself even more. Watch the power of the tongue, the words, because I'll start
Right.
saying things. They're doing this, they're trying to kill us, or this. And I sat back and I said, yeah, no, even if I thought it ain't gonna happen, because I'm not gonna let it. I'm not gonna think it. I'm not gonna
Because
say
you're not
those
going to believe.
words.
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm saying, I'm speaking it out loud. I
Mhm.
tell myself today doing that. I said, no, I'm not gonna do that. And so I've been becoming more aware of how I'm using words, even when you don't mean it in that context. I'm gonna tell you something I thought of earlier. I'm gonna tell you off of here. I don't want to freak nobody out. You tell me what you think, but if it's that powerful, that's crazy.
Mhm.
We just got to be more aware. And I don't know. It took me on a whole other journey today. I feel like there's this wind that's not even in here. It's like a freeing, like, threw some water on me. This was like,
Well, praise God. I mean to share my journey to freedom. I think there's a greater freedom than what I'm experiencing,
yeah,
but I'm on that journey.
man,
You
oh
know,
man, I tell you, it's. I'm sorry, it's just making sense, more sense, because I know that I'm not no better than, and we have to always have self awareness, and no matter what it seemed, I don't know. I just was if we get to a place and we say like, okay, well, God, we're not supposed to be a different sex or be with that person, this and that. That's still kind of you judging, and then you have a mindset, and that person shouldn't be like that, and you're still kind of doing the same thing, right? Like
mhm.
that cycle, and versus just letting it go and let people be, and just
Let
let
people be.
love and let that be figured out how that
There's
needs
a
to be figured out.
I've said and in recent days I've said I am neither pro
You
uh
can be who you
pro
want to be.
choice.
Yep,
I'm not pro choice, and I'm not pro abortion. I'm pro consequence.
right. Because free will, right? But that doesn't mean you're not gonna get the consequences of it.
I'm pro consequence. Let's see if we can discern what the consequences are. And if we can, it, once you are clear on what the sequence of events
Mm-hmm.
will be after a said decision,
Mm.
once you understand
I see
or
what you're
are
saying.
as clear as possible on what those things could be,
I feel
you
you.
make the decision.
Yeah. Off of that, we so
I'm
pro
like,
consequence. That's what we focus on is the pro consequence.
yes, you make
God,
the
we do have to
decision.
do that.
If
Okay.
you want, and if you want to walk out those that sequence of events,
Mm-hmm.
by all means do it. And if
Like,
I feel like being close to you is gonna hurt me because of the choice you made, then I'm out. That's my choice.
right.
But if the sequence of events that after a said decision is something that I deem as celebratory, then I
Right.
mean, you know,
Yeah.
that could be making a decision to make all A's, or it could be making a decision to have a child, and not wait to be married.
Yeah.
You know, let people be. There's
Yeah.
enough room. I keep saying it in the idea of a world. I'm not just talking about the world as in a location, but in the idea, in the concept of a world for everybody to make the decisions they want and to live
Yeah.
out the consequences of said decision.
Yeah.
God don't have to be real.
Yeah. You can't force that on. Yeah.
No, you can't. But not just that. You may not have nothing to force on anybody. Ain't none of y'all shook hands with somebody who introduced himself as God.
Right. Right. It just seems like people have this concept of like there needs to be like some control. They'll get somebody there, but what if people can't do this, and that? I'm like, but we do it already. You know what I mean? If you really think about it, you know what I mean? People have asserted themselves and they kind of be messing up people because people, from what I see, people be moseying along doing their thing. And they just want
Mm-hmm.
to believe what they believe and do what they do. If you can be in this big world and walk past many of people and ain't nobody jumped out and stabbed you or did all this crazy stuff, that says a lot. That people
Mm-hmm.
really just want to do them. You're going to catch a few crazies from time to time. Whoa. But if we can do that now, like you just said, let people. I'm not worried about what she's doing at home with who, why, what, where. You know what I mean? I'm not. I care that somebody, came out and and harmed somebody else or they got attacked or something. Yeah, and I don't believe anybody should have to deal with that. But I guess we'll come to that when we come to that. People should be able
Right.
to come together and figure that out. But
Now,
but
and
you know,
I'm not offering that you shouldn't share your experiences. You know, when asked, what's your experience? What's your story? Share your stories. Our stories inspire people. That's why I'm here today. I'm not saying that, but share the story and be done.
yeah,
You know, just trying to convince people to become Christian, trying to convince people to become Israelite, trying to convince people to become Muslim, trying to convince. What is what's your story?
right,
A lot of times we are investing ourselves in these ancient texts because we lack identity. We lack our own identity. So we want to create an identity for a group of people instead of what is yours.
right.
You know, who are you as a person?
Yeah, we're all different, no matter what color or where they we supposedly. It's still you still get different individuals.
Right. And the Bible said that the Israelites is black and who are you, sir, ma'am? You know? So yeah, let's
I
a
love
lot
it.
again, a lot of what we do and dedicate ourselves to is for the lack of identity. I did an interview the other day, and the interviewer asked me, how can I encourage somebody who's thinking about suicide and going through depression? How can I encourage somebody through the Word of God? I got my own story. How about I do that?
Mm,
How about I share with you the day that I considered suicide and why? How about I share with you that that was in my 20s and I'm 47 today, still living? What if somebody finds hope in my story?
oh, yeah.
What if somebody finds hope in my transparency?
Somebody they can see and relate to,
Right.
right there.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
I write in the book, I ask the question, did God expect me to exchange my story for somebody else's? Because that's what we're reading. We're reading
Mm.
stories that belong to other people. I have my own.
And that could be what it was trying to correlate. We'll never know, but we taking our own interpretation. Could have been something like, "This is somebody else's story. What's your story?"
Right. What's your story? When I finished reading my Bible from beginning to end, a few things happened. One of them was, I believe I heard God say to me, now that you've finished reading everybody else's story, I'm ready to give you your own.
Mm.
I said, yes, sir.
Mm. Mm.
Like,
Makes perfect
okay.
sense. It makes so much sense. But who's going? I guess people like you know what I mean, and who people that get inspired and start to come to that place and start. That's why I like my show, Voices of Courage, because I want people to talk, say your truth, say what you think. Like,
Right.
what are you thinking right now? Everybody, you're important. What's going on? What do you want? You want to tell them something, whoever them is, speak. Don't just be quiet because your voice, you don't think it's going to be heard or nobody cares. Like, people need to talk more. People are being quiet about all kinds of stuff. And it's like, no, how are we going to know what you're thinking and what you want and what you need if you don't start using your voice and tell your story,
Right.
whatever it is? And that's why I like Voices of Courage.
Amen. I agree.
Mm-mm-mm. This might be by far the best show.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
I'm a whole different. I have a whole different mindset right now, and whenever that's only happened a few times in my life, and that's why I know it's important because that's that.
And finally, I saw it. And
Play the part, huh? He definitely couldn't get through
other
it.
part.
That's important as all the rest of them, huh?
Right.
Amen.
So yeah.
I had a great time. Oh my goodness, I loved it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
No problem.
Really.
I'm glad I'm connected. Um I do something called Courageous Conversation every.
Where can our listeners find you if they want to read your book or even get in contact? Any social media links?
I am on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and some other places as ChandrikaDPhea, ChandrikaDPhea.com as well. The book can be purchased from Amazon, um, Barnes and Noble, Books a Million, Book Mecca if you want to support Black businesses, and uh, and a plethora of other places. So yeah, reach out.
Googler.
Feel free to reach out, ask questions if you want. Let me know that you heard me via this podcast, Real Wise Productions behind the mic, um, so that I know to respond to you because I get strange messages. Um, so yeah, identify yourself, tell me who you are, where you're from, and how you heard about me, and let's talk if you want to ask questions.
That's what's up. Yes, yes, yes. Also, Voices of Courage, because it's going on that level, because this is Voices of Courage, but this is the new Behind the Mic, because I feel like we're behind the mic, we got strong voices on the
Yes,
mic.
yes.
Yes, I'll put that in the show notes too. So thank you so much, and you're always welcome back here at any time,
Thank you for having me.
anytime. All right, guys, thank you. This is Voices of Courage, and Behind the Mic with our lovely Chandrika DP. I did it. I got it. Until next time.